Number three, to find some way to hold people accountable to the goals of human development and to the goals of justice. To do some kind of an assessment exercise. Number four, to invest in the expatriate community itself. I mean, one of the things that I was talking about is, I would like my children to grow up and be very proud of the fact that they come from this heritage. And I think investing in that idea is a very important one, and I think HDF should provide that basis. And number five, to think about some kind of a support for the groups that are engaged in human development work. The gentleman there asked, what is it that distinguishes the Human Development Foundation from the other activities? And I mean, for somebody who's very close to many of these other activities, I can say, yes, the Human Development Foundation is different, and no, it is not different. And both of those answers would be correct. Because it is different, because there's a lot of detail in the way that it does it, which nobody else can do. But it is not different because everybody who is working in this group, the kind of things that the people that I'm talking about, is committed to the same idea. And in that sense, it is no different. In that sense, I would say it is no different even from people like Asma Jahangir or even people from Abdul Sattar Edi, because they're doing work which has the same kind of a goal, although with slightly different perspectives. But what kind of a support do these people need? What kind of support do they need? Do they need research? Do they need analysis? Do they need funding support? Do they need some kind of an advocacy support? What kind of a support or other actions do people need to help bring this group together in many different ways? Now, the important thing in all of this is the following. If we think at one level, the problems are huge. And I speak that not only as a Pakistani, but as a citizen of the world. I think the problems before us are huge. Not only when I think about the problems that face us because of poverty and violence and the lack of services and the lack of education and so forth, those are huge problems. But when I think at the global level and I ask myself, how are we going to survive this century, these problems are enormous. But as one of my philosopher teachers taught me, it is the responsibility of each generation to be able to respond to the challenge that history has placed in its lap. Not fall under its weight, but not turn its eyes from it. It is the responsibility of our generation to confront the challenge that history has placed before us. We did not choose this challenge. It just so happens that when we were born, this was the challenge that we faced. To confront it, not turn our eyes away from it, but not sink under its weight either. And the way to do it is to build the community that can respond to this challenge. To build the community that can respond to this challenge. When Shoaib Sultan Khan goes to a village, he doesn't say, I'm here to do something for you. What he says is, you are capable of doing things yourself. What I'm here to do is to provide you something from my side in return for your decision to begin to act collectively. Your decision to become a community. If you become a community, I'm at your service. His purpose is to build that community so that the people can begin to act together. Our purpose is to build that community so that people can act together. Our purpose is to build that community so people can act together, because the challenges that we face are enormous. Some of us know a little bit of the answers, others know a little bit others of the answers, some have some resources, some have other resources. What we need to do is to pull them together so that we can begin to respond to some of these problems. And the fundamental issue in all of this, we can talk about many other things in the world and we can say we are doing this and we are doing this and we are doing that. The fundamental issue that we should never forget is that there's a line that runs through all of this. And that line we have known for thousands of years. And that line is justice. There's a philosopher called Heraclitus, one of whose sayings I so love that I've used it time and time again, and I keep telling my wife that when I die, you have to put it on my grave, that this is what he believed. Heraclitus said 2,000 years ago, he said there is only one struggle in the world, and that is justice. He said justice is the struggle. Justice is the strife. Justice is the strife. You may think you're doing something, providing service, empowering poor communities, providing education where it is needed, standing up for the rights of the oppressed people. But at the core of it, it has to be justice. And when that God of justice, when the just God is served, the community comes into existence. If the just God is abandoned, the community falls away. It is incapable of responding to anything. So as we face the problems before us, the one thing that we need to remember is that this true line that combines all of the different works should not be forgotten in the midst of all of the details. So I'm very happy to look at the details, but I'm also very happy that the fundamental line, the fundamental goal should not be forgotten. But we should remember that what was true 2,000 years ago is still true today. There's only one struggle in the world, and that is justice. Thank you very much.
Dr. Tariq Banuri gave a very stimulating talk